Εγώ θα σας... καταρχάς δεν θα κάνω τόσο ακαδημαϊκή διάλεξη.
First of all, let me say that my lecture will not be very academic. I'll try to keep things simple, trying to lead all of us to a different conclusion. First of all, from my science, astrophysics that is, I can say that when we look for life, extraterrestrial life or extraterrestrial intelligence, we try to identify what will make this evident, what signs we'll see far away in stars and planets, so as to have the sensation that there is something out there, that it lives, that there is life, and the next step, that this thinks of something. So extraterrestrial intelligence. Many people have said that probably artificial intelligence is a kind of extraterrestrial intelligence in the sense that it's not human. Extraterrestrial intelligence is already in our lives. We all know this. We see different pages on the internet. We choose to see certain things in TV programs or not. We see this in the maps. We see that in search. This defines a lot of our thoughts and movements because the social media that are regarded as the most influential in the planet move through systems of artificial intelligence. So if our planet is a brain that thinks, what defines its thinking process and thought is nothing but algorithms. And these algorithms are AI algorithms. So what are we to define as intelligent or smart? What would make us think that something is not a mere dummy, as we say in English, simple, simplistic, or stupid, but it's smart? So, thought number one, that it does things in astrophysics, for example. If we want to see intellect in an extraterrestrial civilization, we want to see mathematics, numbers, signals, waves, at a certain rate or rhythm, showing that they are not random. As we know, artificial intelligence proceeds to calculations, very complicated ones, very fast. Recently, for instance, in biology, if I'm not mistaken, there was a simulation for molecules and molecular links that needed a PhD thesis for every single one of them, and they got hundreds of thousands of such calculations within a few days or weeks. The next thing is that it speaks. When we tried to create artificial intelligence, we wanted to make it like us. Through my presentation, I would like to convey the image of our trying to create something that looks like us, that it is in our likeness and in our image. We tried to make them speak. They speak so well that this is confusing. For example, on the internet, you can have a program ask you to speak. You'll speak for 1 or 2 minutes, and you can ask it to write a text, and the text will be recited in any language you want. Of course, we know, for example, driving. There are self-driven cars and vehicles in the US and China. From beginning to end, there is no driver. The customer sits at the back. It appears to be something like a taxi, and they are led to their destination. Think. What do we mean by thought and thinking? Many researchers have been trying to understand what thought is and when we define something as a thought or as a simple action. Something that gave us a lot of difficulties, photography, how to show artificial intelligence, how to distinguish between pictures, to understand, for example, that all these creatures in the photograph are birds. For us, it is common sense. But for computers, this was something very, very difficult indeed. If you change the smallest detail, if you change the tail, for instance, AI can tell you that this is an elephant. It's insane for us. Recently, the capacity to cure in China, there was a study. They compared an artificial intelligence system to oncologists. They were both provided with tumor reports and images, and they were asked to say if there was cancer or not. Oncologists had a success of 65%, and the system had a success of overly 70%. And the last thing, reproducibility. What do we mean by that? This is a limit that many believed we shouldn't go beyond. That is, being able to create itself, able to make a code, not a code for other programs, it does it anyway, but creating a code in order to enhance and improve its own algorithm. So it philosophizes, contemplates, it feels. Many people have tried to compare and contrast this theologically speaking. There is progress made. It's not there yet. And the last thing, it feels. It's difficult for us to accept that such a cold object, what is it, an object? Is it an entity? Something as cold as a program or an algorithm can actually feel. However, through behavioral programs, it can understand if we are glad or not. If ChatGPT and similar programs are asked to tell a joke, they will. If you say something and ask if it is a joke, they'll find it in all likelihood. Of course, it will look it up on the net, and it will try to use its data to see if a human being would regard this as a joke or not. But we can see clearly that there is ability beyond that. I had some videos to show you, but I shan't do that to spare you the fatigue. There were different presentations with Google. It can make an appointment. So you say, for example, that tomorrow I want you to write down that I need an appointment with my hairdresser. ChatGPT calls the hairdresser, speaks to the person, the hairdresser, and makes an appointment. It can help us buy things, etc. Engaging in conversation and checking our calendar, for instance. Let's not play the video because I want to speak first and foremost as a speaker. This is Sophia. If you don't know her, she's a robot with internal artificial intelligence. They have tried to make it as anthropomorphic as possible. They have given it the name Sophia. And they are actually take interviews from Sophia. Some of them are very simple. Let's advance the video. This is Sophia. Obviously, this is not a perfect form. She doesn't have hair, but the purpose is in the image and the likeness. So, Sophia initially speaks to us, then she laughs. They have enabled her to mimic facial mimicry. Then she appears to be thinking. And recently, Saudi Arabia, which was the sponsor of the company that has manufactured Sophia, she became an honorary citizen of Saudi Arabia, which means that if you destroy Sophia, if you shut her down, you'll be prosecuted because you have destroyed a citizen of Saudi Arabia. One would say that this is an honorable capacity. Yes and no. There are different concerns involved here. Please stop the videos because we don't have time, says the speaker. So whenever a video pops up, don't let it play. The technique of artificial intelligence. Technicians are after one equation: avoid failure, try not to fail. That is, make sure that what you do goes well, error-free. And as it learns, there are many mistakes, one after the other, but the system learns from the errors, and they assign ever more difficult tasks in order to elevate its level of intelligence. For example, they try to make it balance on ice. There are people, for example, hitting it or burdening it with weight. They have it move on rough terrain and so on and so forth. Obviously, I have advanced the video. more than I should. So please do not play the videos, says our speaker to our sound engineers. Perfect. So slowly and gradually, they end up doing many tasks that we would otherwise do. There are many issues involved there, understandably. However, we see that these systems grow ever more capable, and they reach the point of having to face us. So our first problem was chess. In 1997, T-Blue managed to beat the world champion. At first, the systems were helped by having all the rules fed in. But then they had it play against itself, and it managed to play 1 million games within a few hours. So in 72 hours, a mean PC can reach the level of a grandmaster in chess. Or, for example, they had the old arcade games that we have, and they gave them no rules. Go was a big wager. It is one of the luckiest games people play. In 2016, again, the system beat the world champion, and it used techniques and strategies that were never used in the past. Jeopardy, poker, and other such games. The system is not equipped with rules. They say play, understand, learn the ropes, cope, and they end up beating the best in the games throughout the planet. So our tools like the pickaxe, a bulldozer or a hammer have beat our bodies in terms of strength and agility. There are tools that have beat us in thinking, in memory, in processing. Lately, it appears that they understand emotion and feeling. And here's the question. What is there left? What is it that defines us as people, making the difference between us and those systems? What is it that will tell us apart? And the question, of course, is, why should it tell us apart? Why should it be different? This is a different question, but for all intents and purposes, everybody wants to be different. Is it not the nous of thought and process, but it's something like the nous as mentioned by the fathers? Is it the deep heart? Is it salvation, deification? Are these things that an algorithm will never be able to do? Turing had a test, and I'll be winding up. How do we tell whether a system is human or not? We put it behind a screen. We have 10 people there, and behind one screen, we have a system, not a human person, and we ask them to speak. And then we'll come and ask you whether you believe you've been speaking to a human being or a machine. Before ChatGPT, we had reached 15 minutes. After ChatGPT, on the respective programs, you can speak to the system for 2 hours, 4 hours, unable to tell if this is a real person or not. Soon you'll be able to speak with voice. For the time being, it's only through writing things on a keyboard. This Turing test is something very, very deep. What is a human being? How do we define it? In my opinion, something very interesting happened. Enthusiasts of materialism start with matter and particles, as we do in physics. We're nothing more than particles, complex forms of particles create the brain, and from the brain there arises soul, the soul of psychology. Psychiatry, is it something different? We need to see where we are different as human beings, where we differ, and possibly theology has something unique to offer, something that everyone asks for, irrespective of whether they believe or not, whether we are different from machines, and if yes, where? Thank you very much. We thank you too, Sister Moderator.